Welcome back to episode 5 here with Talking with TT podcast. I'm so glad to have everybody here. Today I have two special guests over here. I have my boy Brandy here. He's here to get that male perspective. And you know, as always, she's not a guest. It's my co-host.
What's up? It's E-Lyrics. How y'all doing?
Okay, so now that we got that covered, today we are going to be talking about mental health. Something that the black community sleeps on and has been sleeping on forever. Probably the past 20 years, this has been more of a topic, but we still need to touch on this. We need to touch, feel, all that. It needs to be a big topic. And I got my friend here, Brandon, and I got E-Lyrics here. I wanted a male perspective because I felt like men don't get to talk about it enough. They don't have the support system that a lot of the women have. So we're going to be getting into that. And so I'm going to tell a little bit of my story. And because a lot of people don't even know that they're mentally ill, a lot of people are afraid to talk about it. Because you got that word crazy that people are always saying crazy. We need to, I think, shy away from that word because that name makes people ashamed for things that there's something wrong with you. And there's really not. We just think differently. People that have mental illnesses, whatever you want to call it. It's just that a lot of people think differently. You can have a long-term mental illness like bipolar or schizophrenia, or you could have something like depression. Depression is something that everybody get. Everybody probably has had, kids, adults, whoever. But anyway, I'm gonna talk a little bit about my story. For years and years and years, I was just like real indecisive, not knowing what I want, making bad decisions. Doing the same shit, literally the same shit over and over, making just the same, like, why am I doing this? Like, not knowing, I didn't know what was wrong. I just kept doing the same shit, y'all, meant over and over again. Probably like the last 20 years of my life was me just trying to figure it out. And then when I finally, we went and had my daughter says, and the therapist was like, I think you might be bipolar. And it was like, once that man told me I was and I started taking my meds, it was like my life changed at first because I slid back. But I'm gonna go back and talk about now, let's say the past couple months. It hasn't been long but she could tell you the past couple months I have progressed more than I have in years, y'all, because I decided to take my medication. I decided to take my mental illness serious so that I could progress in life and I could be a better mother, a better friend, a better daughter, all that good stuff. But we all fall short. So I'm gonna ask you first, and then I'm gonna ask you, when was it when you knew like you need help or you knew something was wrong? And as a man, I want you to dive deep into it.
Yeah, I never really knew anything was wrong because as I grew up, I had a normal upbringing, not two-parent family, but I came from a single-parent home. My mom, she was my mom and dad. So, great support system. So, I never really understood anything was wrong until I started to get into the streets.
Okay.
And with that, comes a lot of bad decision making. But you got to uphold some kind of image or make a name for yourself. But as I was doing that, it just came like natural. Like I wasn't trying to be no street dude, nothing like that. I was just really acting out and getting into different stuff. But once I started actually getting in trouble and going through the system and realized, my demeanor and mindset was I'm cool and laid back, but I'm acting out.
Right.
The violence.
That inside was different from the outside.
Right, but I know inside the it's higher risk of some shit happening like bodily harm or you have to do something to somebody. So you got to assess that different too because you only get one life and it could be taken from you in an instant. So those steps had to be calculated also. But I didn't really realize there was a problem until, like you said, similar to your story, that I felt like the little hamster running around in the wheel.
Yep, just over and over.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere, but you moving fast.
Right.
And that's how my life felt. Right. And that's how my life felt. You know what I mean? Yep. The decision making was just poor all the way around. And the consequences but my actions, I got to walk through all these different fires. And even though I'm coming out on the other side, it's just, I realize like when you go through different things and come out on the other side, you're not the same
You're
person.
not, and it take a lot of your life.
And,
Like,
and going through the system, doing consecutive years away from my family, my friends.
so if you don't mind me asking, how much time did you actually do?
Well, I did at state prison. I did 7 years, and I've been to federal prison, and I did 8 years.
So that's 15 years of your life.
Yeah, we're really 8 and some change, right?
Right. So just, you say you did 7 and 8?
Yes.
So that's 15 altogether.
Yeah, give or take maybe a little more, you know.
Oh, that's a lot
That's
of your
close to a
life.
lifetime.
And so
It's a lifetime, like
it was like, okay, well, like he said, well, he was making, I'm gonna come back to it, but he was making the bad decisions. His punishment, or like the choices, was prison. Where I was punished too, but mine wasn't prison. Mine was outside, just seeing it like with my daughter, like me and her having so much conflict, you know what I'm saying, or me choosing to leave relationships that might have been really great for me, but because my mind was everywhere, I was, no, I gotta be here. And then once I make the decision, I'm like, oh my God, why did I do that? So mine was probably 20 years, but I just wasn't in prison like you was. It was like I was in prison in my mind. And so I talked to my therapist, and my therapist said, because the thing about it is, don't nobody want to take medication forever.
Right.
But you got to think about this. Would you want to take medication for forever, or be all over the place for the rest of your life and never settle, never accomplish, never? I choose to take the med. If I have to take it, my doctor, he said, you may have to take it. He said, but it's a brain disorder. It's mental, but it's a brain disorder. My brain is most people's brain is kind of like this. Mine is like this. Well, some people's kind of stabilized. Mine don't do that. Mine is, with the medicine make me where I'm more stabilized. And like, if people say, well, oh, you take medicine, that's not the cure. It's not. I still have the same issues and problems, but when I take my medication, I'm able to deal with them better instead of that irrational mind with them all over the place.
Right.
So it's just that, man, it's hard. So when did you know that you needed help, or when it hit you, like that you was going through something mentally?
When I realized that was the case of my mental need to be taken care of was after healing from a narcissistic relationship, because God chose to take that situation just to open up everything else. He made me the audience of everything that I went through, not even realizing you're choosing these people because of what you were used to from growing up. And I'm like, well, what am I used to that's such a match or such a similar situation? Growing up, I had a wonderful single parent, my mom, like you, great provider, and you know this, Tiana.
Right, correct. Yeah.
But my mom did not have the emotional availability. She was emotionally absent.
And see, that's going on the tip of me, what I was saying with those kids. It's
Yes.
running over to the kids.
Yes. See,
It does.
and I even say this to her, not that she's ever had an issue, y'all, but I found myself relying on my friends and relationships to fill that void of emotional absence that my mama didn't have. Now, I did get emotional support from my older sibling that was in the house, as well as godparents, but it still never was the same because it didn't come from the person I
Who you really
always wanted it from
right.
and needed it from.
Yeah.
And I thank those friends and thank you too as
You're
well.
welcome.
But she's still emotionally available for me. Still to this day.
We have to support
To
each other.
this
It's
day.
a community. It's a village.
When
That's
I
a fact.
Right.
when I actually got around to it, it was like a warfare. And I stayed talking to her about
Right.
it. I even had to go to her house, stay there a few nights, to kind of, and I realized I ended up developing some type of anxiety. It took a while for me to actually come on this side of town, and to the point where I only came on this side of town just to come see her because she already knew what time it was. And as I began to progress, it got better, but I didn't go see a doctor, but I looked within myself though. And although I still say I would love to go to therapy, soon, because I don't think, like you said, black people think that going to therapy or going to see what's going on is a red flag or
There's something
is
wrong with you.
Yeah,
It's a bad thing.
If you
I can't go sit and talk to a stranger.
Exactly.
All of that. Yeah, we
You
gotta
know,
get out of that.
So, and I did that. So now I journal. I have a manifestation book. I'm working out. I'm pressing forward with my businesses or with my goals. Excuse me. And her and I even talk about it all the time, collab together, brainstorm, uplift. We tell each other like it is, whether we're getting onto each other, pushing each other, whatever it may be, because that's what's needed. So after God made me the audience of everything I've been through, I'm like, that's why I'm fighting like hell to be heard in my relationships, because that's exactly what I was doing growing up, fighting to be heard. After constantly being told to sit on your feelings from a parent, that's something that triggers you, and it don't even touch you sometimes until you in your late 20s, early 30s, because I was 29.
Right.
But what I also, in my mom's defense, began to realize, a parent does not have it all. Because she couldn't give it to you because she didn't receive it either. She didn't have it because she didn't receive it.
How she gonna give it to you?
Exactly. So, and all in all, testimonial part, I was able to reconcile with my mom about a month or two ago or something like that, and we're okay now. And I see why. I get it, because you're not handed a booklet, and y'all parents, no one hands y'all a booklet.
You ain't.
Nobody.
Me and my daughter still healing.
Right. And one thing I'm seeing both sides. I'm like, one minute I'm hearing, okay, healing is gonna be forever. 1 minute you are gonna heal, but at this point, whether you are completely healed or still healing, take your time. Because it took time for you to realize you needed to heal, so take your time to heal. So when that time comes for you to actually get to that finish line to be okay, don't stop taking your meds. Your meds can be journaling. Your meds can be pills. Your meds can be going to therapy. Anything,
whatever it is that helps you.
Exactly.
Because it's not like she was saying. It's not always medication. Because somebody think that I take medication and I go to therapy. It could just be the therapy, or like she's journaling, running, walking. Your medication could be a lot of things. You have to do what works for you. But with the medication, I want people to not be ashamed because you take it. Because a lot of people are ashamed because, I take medication, I don't want nobody to know I'm crazy. When that's not the case. Some of like with that mental illness, it's a lot of negativity come with it, but it's a lot of positive things too, because with your brain not working the way others do, you come up with a lot of creative. You come up with a lot of other stuff. Right. Your brain kind of is rewired. But for me, it seems like I've been more, I'm a little bit more creative with my brain. I don't think if my brain wasn't like it was, I don't even think I would be able to create as much as I do. So it's not always a negative. It's always not a negative thing to it. Now, what I do want to, since we got a male here, I want you to kind of elaborate on what we were just talking about before we got on with the men, feeling like they got to be strong or they weak, or I just want you to elaborate on that so people can understand from a male's point of view.
And to answer your question, but to piggyback what she was saying too, a lot of times to understand, us as the kids, even though we grown, but we definitely got to understand the parents and where we come from, because a lot of times, like she said, her mother wasn't taught different things, so how can it trickle down to us? They don't know. Because like we know, it ain't no manual to it. It's just life lessons and what we were taught and our upbringings and what kind of morals and values we develop and stand on too. So we got to pay attention to that. And a lot of times as kids, we don't ask our parents the hard questions too, to get to know them further, to essentially know ourselves too.
Right, correct.
You know what I'm saying?
That is correct.
That is one thing, but to answer your question, as a man, we try to, it's a lot that's required. And doing that, trying to check off all the boxes of being a man, if you got a family, being a provider, you got kids, being present, it's a lot that come with it. And sometimes, you just want to feel rewarded or validated, and we don't. Or you were taught maybe by your dad or just by society that you got to bottle them feelings up. And I say it a lot, man. We're not robots. We're human beings.
Correct.
So it's like I want to talk about it or be able to speak about it because life it hurts sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be able to communicate. You got to be able to express these different feelings and emotions. You can't leave that stuff bottled in because it's definitely unhealthy.
Yeah.
Well, see, for me, when I realized it was like something going on, like I said, it just like I was moving
Going in
fast,
circles,
but I ain't going nowhere.
Right,
Mhm.
So it's
right,
like,
right.
man, damn. And like you said, I'm making the same bad decisions over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I know from a spiritual standpoint who
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be
Right.
and how I'm feeling, and why are my actions, different?
Right, they're not matching what you're saying.
Yeah.
they're
So
not
it's
matching
like,
what you're
man,
saying. Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a hypocrite, but I know what way I'm supposed to
Right.
be going, and I'm going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, when I was in, I was like, I still had the same attitude, like, man, I know I want to go talk to somebody. I've always had my mom to be able to talk to. Unconditional love. I can say whatever, express whatever, and it's not gonna be judged.
Right.
It's just, okay,
Yep.
well, hey, I feel like this, I feel like that, and then you make your own assessment
Right.
about the situation. This is your life, but just know that I'm here and I support you. So that was big for me.
Dang, y'all.
Yeah.
From being
Right.
locked
It's,
up.
it's tough conversations,
That's right,
man.
and I got no problem with it because it's
man.
necessary.
It is.
But being locked up, it's a real dark place.
I can imagine.
The things you have to see or go through and experience, it's not normal.
Yeah.
And so it really is like being in a mental hospital for guys, for real, because you see the different
I can imagine the stuff
person.
in the scene.
You see the different personalities and ways of thinking and ways that people justify wrong. Period.
Right.
You
That
know
could
what I mean?
possibly drive you insane right
Oh,
there.
man.
What you
And
say
so-
that
stuff you
again?
done
You
seen.
said justify wrong.
Yeah,
Oh
man.
my God.
And just and so some of these classes I would take in there, and it's like, man, I don't need this shit, but you kind of do because everything starts with your thinking.
Right, correct.
So
Yeah.
a lot of classes I would take would, challenge the ways you think, and some classes called criminal thinking, or just basically changing your thought pattern to
you will. Okay.
lead a past life in the past. You know what I
Right.
mean? And to move forward, you have to change the way you think.
Mhm.
And so as I started taking those class series, I started like, man, well, damn, it's a lot of things that I'm blocking myself from. So when I decided to sit down in front of somebody when I was in, I had the same approach like most guys do, or most people do. Like, oh man, they don't know me. You don't know nothing
That's
about
the key.
me.
The fact that they don't know you
Right.
is what's going to
But they can give it to you from a different.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, you already saying this or that, but you haven't even tried. So
Right.
coming in, they ask questions. Of course, they have their opinion about whatever, but you just get a chance to. It's an outlet. So you just get a chance to express yourself in different ways you feel and think, and whether they diagnose you with anything or not, it's just a necessary outlet.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
I feel like therapy is important.
yeah.
It is,
And see, like fast forward to now, I only went a couple of times, but fast forward to the present day, I was released from federal prison. One of my requirements on probation was I had to take this drug class for however many months. But I don't have a drug problem, but I had a drug case.
Okay, so you still got it, yeah.
So,
okay.
but a part of these drug classes, I mean, I passed all my drug tests and got to do these group sessions. But a part of that, you do a one-on-one session with a therapist, a counselor, and yeah, we both come to the conclusion. Yeah, I don't need the drug treatment side,
Yeah.
but the outlet, the therapy part.
Was good.
When I see her once a month, that gives me a chance to you know, for her to ask
That's a
questions.
safe space.
That's
for
right.
you to be able to let it
You
out.
know what I mean?
Right.
And so I try not to put, like I said, I always say my mom been in my corner since day one, but I try not to put a lot on her too because she going through her own,
Right.
you know, situation. Like my mom, she's 66. Dementia's starting to set in, so that's tough.
Yeah.
And I try not to just put everything on her like I used to because, you know, she trying to survive.
You're growing with the
Right.
growth and with the mental assessments and all of that. Like all of that stuff is good, and it's just like you were saying, a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
People you got to have that safe space. Y'all, please find if you don't have somebody close in your family or a friend that you could talk to and don't have to worry about everybody knowing. So let's
Right.
say that, get you a therapist. There's free therapy. If you go online, you can look up free therapy. I think SOS has like free therapy sessions, but you got to have that safe space to be able to talk to somebody. Even if you don't have a mental illness, at some point in your life, you're going to experience depression. Which is something mentally, and so you need to be able to talk to someone, and if you having those suicidal thoughts or just bad thoughts, life not going your way, you need somebody to talk to. It's not about if you could give me this or give me that, but just that conversation. Sometimes that one conversation could make you realize, like, dang, I really wasn't thinking straight. I wasn't thinking clear. Now that I had this conversation, you able to think straight, you're able to think clear, you're able to make moves. And that's what my medication do for me. I'm able to make moves, like something where it would be like when I was mentally unstable, it could be something like as easy as like me not being able to find my glasses. And I'm talking about, y'all, I would freak out. Like I'm crying, I can't find my whether I'm taking care of my mental, and it's like I can't find my glasses. Okay, where's the last place you had them? That means it's a whole different approach. Right. You have to be mentally stable. It's a lot of people that are harming other people because they are mentally unstable. So mental health, y'all, it is just important as physical health. It's just as important because people are losing weight and trying to be healthy, and all that is good. But that mental is just as important. So don't just work on that physical, work on that mental too. And with men too, we were talking about
we gotta do better.
Yeah, but with the men, where he was saying men feel like they're weak he had a conversation, felt they weak if they admit to some type of mental issue, or like men can't cry or whatever. And like you say, you're not a robot, you're human. But you need to be able to show your emotion. And I'm not saying that you got to scream or holler, but if a tear need to drop, let that bitch drop.
Right. It's because the same things have happened to men as well as women.
Right.
They've been abused verbally, physically.
Right.
They've been molested. They've been raped. All kind of things
that
you keep bottled up.
Right.
And you feel like ain't nobody else gonna understand or been through what you've been through. Yeah, we all one of one, but we all the same pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got a story.
Right.
So some things you don't want to put out there just because you feel like, ain't nobody business, and I understand that. But the more you try to open up and just,
you could be someone else's survivor guide.
Right.
My therapist told me that.
That's right.
He said I was just going through something. He was like, I know you've been through so. I started crying, and he was like, you've been through so much, and you've been verbally abused, you've been physically abused, you've been molested, you've been just so much. I've been through so many people have harmed. Like he said, but it was not in vain. He has I'm gonna have to take a picture of it, but he has this little quote, and the little quote is basically saying like, hey, everything you've been through wasn't like in vain. He said you would be somebody else's survival guide.
That's right.
So they may not have to go through that, or if they are going through that, they can look to us as inspirations, motivated. Well, if they can look and say, man, they got on this podcast and she talked about her abuse. You talked about your situation with your mother in this bed. You talk about your prison time and your mom being ill, how you get through it. We could be someone else's survival guide.
Right. I've always said that there is a difference, going back to what you're saying, as far as some people may not feel, comfortable or safe to expose or express themselves because I don't want nobody to know. There is a difference between exposing your business and sharing your testimony.
Correct.
Or expressing yourself for the sake of letting it out so that you're not balling it in or anything like that. And that's where I'm at. And even to add to what you asked earlier, I will never forget the day that I was pasting, when my depression was really trying to win, y'all. Oh my gosh. And I'm going to just say, all I had in sight and in my hand was my cell phone. Now, how I was going to harm myself with my cell phone, I don't know. But all I knew in that moment to do was to contact my parents for them to get off work to come and try to save my life.
Right.
Before I would have thought to
Yeah.
not be here.
Right.
I told y'all I was going to do it.
Right.
Because that day, so much was weighing on me. And I know I told you about this.
Right, you did.
And if it, in that moment, what was on my, even thinking back on it now, like I said, parents are not given a guide. If my mama did not come to my rescue for nothing else,
Right.
her
Came,
coming that day, actually her and my daddy came that day. Thinking back on it now, after all the healing I done did from then to literally this date, they've done enough.
Correct.
Because if I don't, if I don't feel like I have a reason to live, but I got a reason to live, was a person or a situation, it would be me in that day.
Right.
And when they came, they sat with me, they talked with me, and even then I barely could get anything out. I was just glad that they showed up.
Right.
Because you never, when you need them the most.
Right. You need them the most.
And
right.
A lot of times, I've heard all the time, Ebony goofy, Ebony is, always laughing, make people laugh. And I always go back to Robin Williams. We grew up on Robin Williams.
That's right.
Flubber,
Right.
Mrs. Doubtfire,
Right.
Jack, and the
Correct.
list goes
Correct.
on and on. He spent decades, and I mean, he's older than our parents, decades making us laugh. But who the hell was going to make him laugh?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
I use that as a little bit of a tool, I guess, because we cannot sit around being present for others but absent for ourselves. And going back to the parents, that's probably what they've been doing. All they do is to provide and be present. They didn't know how to be there, if that made sense. They knew how to be present to provide, but not there to emotionally support. So all the while, I'm like, well, I'm having to be for me what my mama wasn't, because she didn't know how.
Right.
But like I said, that day proved to me, like, you feeling some kind of way in your mind, you trying to beat something, and like I said, and not to put it in, not just speaking subliminally, let's just say protection was around that day.
Right.
I just didn't find it. I didn't even think to look for it.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
All I had was my phone. So I thank God for putting it in my mind, call your parents. They got off their job.
And that was God, because see,
That's what it
that's the
was.
thing. The devil will always try to sneak up, and like I say, whether you believe in the devil or not, even if it's the universe, there are evil things that will always try to sneak up into your mind,
Yeah.
and try to get to you. But you got to realize on stuff though. Listen, the thing about it with life, you really don't want to end life. You just tired of the life
You
you're
want to live
living.
in a situation.
Mm.
You're tired, you're not like with the suicide. When people commit suicide, it probably wasn't that they really wanted to end. It was like, I'm just tired of living this way, and people just feel like they don't have nowhere to go, no support system, and they could have had that. You just don't know what is going on with people's mind, and that's why I feel like it's important for us to really talk about mental health, because a lot of people that have unalived themselves or committed suicide, or however you want to say it, some of that stuff could have been mental. It could have been they could have been schizophrenia and didn't know it, or bipolar and didn't know it, and all those different voices and stuff telling you things to do. Like, I've had conversations with my dad, and my dad was telling like certain stuff was telling him to do stuff, do something.
Yeah,
And because he
that's right.
got the Lord on his side, he know that it's the devil trying to trick his mind. I have too, like she said.
Yeah.
I done been suicidal, and I've been in there looking at my pills and be like, I could just take these 20 pills and end it all. And I'd be like,
That's
I
right.
start
Or you
thinking
have
about
a what if thought. Like,
right. I
what
started
if
thinking about my kids and stuff like, man, this not right. And I know this is another thing, like, take care of your mental. When I am taking care of my mental and taking my meds and therapy, I'm not having those thoughts as much.
Yeah.
That's why it's important, because the less you take care of your mental, the more you allow those evil thoughts to sneak in, and for you to go back
That's
into
right.
whether the evil thoughts could be you going back into the lifestyle you was doing before you went to prison, or the evil thoughts could be you and your mama always arguing, or you creating situations that are not really there. The evil thoughts could be me dealing with these men, sleeping with these men, and thinking that they really care for me, and they don't. I'm thinking that, oh well, if I give him this and I give him that, and love don't work like, we know it don't work like that.
Right.
But all of that is to say, like, you got to take care of your mental, and from a woman and a male perspective, y'all, we got to do better with supporting people, with calling your strong friends, the weak friends, whatever. Calling, picking the phone up and saying, "Are you okay? How are you feeling today?" Or we got to be that safe space. You gotta be that safe space for something like your friends, like your male friends, when they come to you with your problems and stuff like that. And I know for men, like not shoving it off, like, really, hey man, if you need a shoulder to cry on, you could do it. Men to say, well, they want to say, oh well, that's gay. No, that's being human.
Right.
It's okay. I
In
seen
my
that podcast.
experience, I've
That
always
man
had
was
that.
crying on another man's shoulder.
Yeah.
It is okay for you to cry, for a man to cry on another man's shoulder.
Yeah.
That just means you care and love them.
Right.
That don't mean, oh, I want to be with them. It's something romantic.
Right.
We gotta let that stigma go too. For men, that men cannot care for each other. Men can't hug each other.
Right.
Men can't say I love you. Like, how you leave and I say I love you, a man
Yeah.
can leave his homeboy. All right, bro, love you.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. We gotta let that go. Like, and I feel like it'll be a much better place if it'll be a much better place too if the men were able to show their feelings a little bit more. So were cared for more. If it wasn't always, oh, the man got to care for the woman. The men need to be cared for too.
Yeah.
They got to be loved too, because like you said, y'all are not robots. Y'all are men. Not, yes, y'all are meant to be leaders. Y'all are meant to be strong. Y'all emotionally built some type of way that we may never understand, and vice versa.
Right.
But just because you emotionally, that doesn't mean that you might not fall short, or you got feelings.
Right.
You can feel some type of way.
That's
But
right.
even a leader
Right.
needs somebody to follow.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's okay, because that's big. Actually, that's not even okay. That's needed. That
It
has to
is.
be the case, because how am I
It
lead
is.
you if I don't have nobody to follow? You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and
I ain't in my right mind. How I'ma lead you?
Exactly.
Like Trump being the president.
What you say?
Saying I'm peeping out in their right mind.
Yeah.
Right. So for real, though. For real, like, you gotta,
That's right.
like, man, we just gotta take it more seriously, and especially in the black community, because years and years ago it was frowned about. The kids, they just bad, or he just crazy. That's how he is. And no, why don't you have a conversation with them? Are you okay? You really okay?
Right.
They might say, I need help, and can you help me? You just don't know.
That's right.
You don't know. You don't, or like calling the kids bad, and they really need like help.
Acting
You know
out,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? I have a son that's ADHD, and I can, he just really need help. You know what I'm saying? And you around here just saying, he bad, and beating the shit out of him, and not. You know what?
By
Let
the
me
way,
sit
he's
down and
very
listen to my
respectful.
child, and let's go talk to a doctor
Right.
and see if it's more to this
Yeah.
shit than me just beating the hell out of him.
Yeah.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, take the time. We need to stop talking so much and really listen, because see, the thing about it, people be listening so they can respond. Stop trying to have a response and just listen.
Right.
Just listen sometimes.
That's
So
true.
yeah, y'all, this mental health is deep. Like,
I do got a question for you,
Yeah.
Tiana. So for TT, I got a question, because and that's another thing, y'all. I kind of get the best of both worlds, so I'm a little lucky. You know what I'm saying? Kind of spoiled. And I say that because I can get a perspective from a parent and the child, and being a millennial.
Yeah.
As a parent, going back to us knowing now that a parent is not handling a parental guide on what to do to their children, raising them right, wrong, whatever. How were you able to balance that, being a parent, a millennial parent, but at the same time you grew up as a millennial child, to understand the importance of raising a child right, while knowing that you're not going to be perfect? You know that your child going to have her moments where she's not understanding you as a parent, although you know that at some point you don't understand your mom as a parent. Or how did you come to a common ground to realize that? Or even when did you come to a common ground?
At first, like, for my mom, like I said, my mom was a great parent, but sometimes she lacked, sometimes, like, and the emotional support. Sometimes we have gotten better. Like over the years, like I can almost go to about anything now. But there have been times where I felt like, oh, she might have been a little judgy or I couldn't talk. But I don't really think it was really a time. It just takes time.
Okay.
I don't really, I can't really go and say, oh, well, this is when I understood how to balance it, because there were times where I did not know how to balance it, or I did not how to go to my mom. When I finally realized that I had to, when my mom, I was definitely grown. I probably was like this probably was like 5 or 6 years ago. I was saying, damn, you almost 40. But when I finally realized she human too, and she said, Mama say, you do know I'm human too, and because I don't know, I was seeing her like as some super mom, which was good and bad. Yeah. Because I was seeing her as she don't make mistakes. My mom been married for 30 years, so it just, I've always been in a 2-parent household, so it just always looked good. But she was like, you don't think I went through stuff too? So when we had that conversation, then I was able to balance it, and me and my daughter, I was able to go back and have a better conversation with her. And like I said, with me and Leah, we struggle a lot because me and my daughter both have mental issues. We both. I was a teenage parent too, so me and her relationship. I was a teenage parent, so I was a child raising a child. So
we was one of the first to have.
We were, because remember I had the baby from Mary. Yeah, you remember. Yeah. So like because y'all Brandon is from my childhood. This is a child we go back 30 years. So I know him a long time. So yeah, he remember me being pregnant and everything. So yeah, it's just like I still mess up now. Me and my daughter are. When our mental is we're both taking care of our mental now, and I am stressing it to her. We are in a better place now. We probably in a better spot now than we have ever been since probably her childhood. Yeah, we both are taking care of our mental. We both are trying to lean more onto God, and I may still drink and do those, but God knows my heart, and I still pray. Yeah, and I still lean on Him. Yeah, I still lean on Him. You're not gonna tell me because I had a glass of wine that He doesn't love me, He's not gonna make things happen for me, because He has and He will. So I think being a parent and a child, it's an everyday learning experience. It never stops for me. It's never like, oh, I've learned enough, or oh, I can't balance, because sometimes I get off balance and you gotta get back on balance. So it's something that you're gonna go through for the rest of your life. With any relationship, really, any relationship you have is just you're gonna have little times where it be off. It shouldn't be. I'll say this though, in a relationship, it shouldn't be all the time. Because then that's a little toxicity, and I talked about that. If you're going into a toxic relationship, and if somebody's not respecting somebody, if we always off, or it's always disrespectful. But in every relationship, it's gonna be. So I just give and take, and I try to be considerate. And I always try to put myself in other people's shoes, whether it be my daughter or my mother. And that's how I deal with it.
Listening to you, I don't have any children. I'm an auntie. I was an auntie as a teenager though. I was 15. However, my mom was a technically teen parent, although legally she was an adult. A year after high school, she had my sister. But to a certain extent, she still grew up with my sister. She wasn't equipped even though the law say when you're 18, to them you ready. But in all actuality, still a kid. So going back to what you said, it's kind of like adding more understanding. Like, dang, my mama been a parent since she was mentally a kid.
You have to give her grace.
Give her grace, because she was technically, legally grown, but mentally she was a kid too. She had it all together, raising a baby, and not only that. Getting ready to have a premature baby at that. So that's more emotional, to find out that your baby is nearly on the verge of not making it to, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just putting that out there. I mean, you're a young parent, you ain't even in your 20s yet. Your baby, damn, they're not even gonna make it. Then you gotta deal with all this. You gotta deal with whatever backlash she may or may not have experienced. And then there's some other things that she uncovered to me and revealed. That she had experience with my sister, and it's just like, dang, mama went through all that, and I didn't find out certain things that I'm not gonna say, I didn't find that out till I was grown.
Because you weren't supposed to know those things. As a parent, you don't tell your child every thing that I've had to have conversations with my daughter once she got older. So there were things that she would be coming at me back, going back and forth, and so angry, and I had to allow her to be angry with me and say, we had this conversation, but we can't do it now. And then when we go back to house, she's like, oh man, if I had known, I could tell you.
And when I found out,
that you don't tell your child what they get grown.
When I found out, it was just, and it was even more stuff. I was just like, oh my God.
That's,
you know?
That's funny, y'all saying this, because the dialogue I have with my daughter now, she, my youngest daughter, she's 16. Her mom passed away about a year and a half ago. Okay, so I told you I've been to prison twice. When she was born, I watched her grow up from prison. They always bring her to see me. Between her mom and my mom.
Thank God you had that.
Then got out and was hands-on with her, but I only stayed out about 18, 19 months before I went back. Went fed, right. So when I got out, obviously she about 14, 15 when I get out, 15 when I get out. And so, you know, mom gone. Now it's pretty much all on me.
Right.
And just trying to find that common ground, that middle ground to stand on. She still understand, I'm her parent, she's my child. We're not gonna blur those lines. I know you grow into a young woman, you're getting older, but we're not gonna blur those lines ever. You know, I'm still your dad, I'm still very much present. But one of the reasons I did have to seek help mentally is because, like I said earlier, I want to be able to check all the boxes needed off for me as a man and as a father and a pillar and a permanent fixture in her life. So I have to give myself the best possible chance to be successful and stable. And so with that, I mean, I have to be present. So if I'm not right here, then my teachings or it's gonna be off. It's gonna be off. She won't respect what I got going on. So I had to do that. That was something I had to do, knowing the severity of the situation also. So, you know, that's still a developing relationship, but it's fun because we get to know each other. I mean, she's just like my twin, so it's like talking to me at 16, but it's kind of like I get a do-over too. Because, you know, high school and your involvement, and now you know, social media wasn't like that when we was younger. So now everything you want to be like, this gonna be on TikTok and this and that. Oh my God, they going crazy. So I have to explain to her, like, man, all that's nothing. You know what I mean?
They don't even make no kids no more.
Like, man, you know, the stuff you think matter, in a couple of years, you're gonna look back and be like, you know, you're not gonna be the same you know, at 20. You're not gonna be thinking the same at 20 as you are at 16. So
it's gonna be it's a learning curve for every age and whatever, and that's why your mental state got to be intact, because it's gonna be different things that come up, whether it be good or bad, that you got to be prepared for.
That's right.
You know, you got to be prepared, because you know, as she's a young adult, as you become to be an adult, it gets stressful. You know, of figuring out what she want to do, like, you know, the kid what they want to do. And I remember with my daughter, well, I don't know what I want to do, and she, I just feel like my life is over. And I'm like, you 20, you 21, or at the time you 18, 19, you gonna figure it out. And then now, I was having a conversation, and she like, my mama, really, I got a good job now, I got a nice place to stay. I'm like, I told you, you just got what I always tell her, get that mental state. I always tell her, your mental state got to be in order. But see, the thing, I wasn't practicing what I was preaching, because I was telling her that, but she wasn't seeing it. Now that I'm doing it, and she's seeing that, she like, okay, now I really want to keep my mental health in order. So as parents, you got to show them kids the way too, because that's like what it is. I think that don't do what I do, but do as I say. We got to scratch that.
Do as I say. Don't do
you
what
need
you
to
see.
do. You need to be doing what you're supposed to do in front of these kids. If you tell that child not to do it, you don't got no business doing it either. And we ain't talking about legal activities and stuff like that. We got common sense to know the adults who have stuff that kids can't do it isn't bad. But we talking about just regular stuff every day. You know, it's like your child reminding you not to curse, and you like, oh, you know, don't worry about it. No, you told that child you wasn't gonna cuss no more, so you, yeah, right. You so it's just it's learning with the kids. It's you learn every day in life, period. And just with the mental health, you got to stay. Like I say, that physical is important, but your mental is just important, and we just got to learn to stop, especially the black community, shaming people because something mental is going on, or because they want a crowd or whatever. We got to be a safe space for our community. We all, like us doing this podcast is letting people know that it's okay. It's okay to go through stuff. It's okay, even if you're mentally unstable. I'm right here telling you, get help. Get help. There are you can just go on Google and type in where do I go to get mental health, and so many services and stuff like that come up. And I really wish that I would have researched, and I may do is put some services down in my comments once I post it to YouTube. Maybe I'll find some free services or whatever. But I just want everybody to just being great, because when you're mentally healthy, there's so much your mind can take you. Because within the 2 months of me just getting my mental state, y'all, I have accomplished so much. I have changed my health. Just telling her, I'm back on a healthy pattern with that. I'm doing the things. I'm living out my dreams. You know, I'm looking for jobs. Like, it's so much that I was not doing because I was mentally unstable. So moral of the story is take care of your mental. If you don't have that support system, you can Google. Y'all can get up under my comments or anything. Like, I'm here for everybody, and y'all know that's what this podcast is here for me, to motivate and inspire each other. And another thing is what I forgot to mention earlier. It is Mental Awareness Month. That's why some of us have on green. Green is the mental awareness color. So this podcast was very important to all three of us, because we both have been through some things, and we wanted to share. And this was actually his idea. I put on my Facebook about some topics, and he put that on there, and it was just in time because it's Mental Awareness Month. Yeah. Perfect. And then he agreed to come on here. And this is my first mental. Look at me. This is my first male guest, y'all. So y'all gotta give it up, y'all, for Brandon. And y'all know it's always my girl. She gonna be here every time. That's the co-host. So is there any little last remarks or anything y'all want to say about mental health to anybody?
I do. One thing I mentioned to her off camera, we were just engaging in conversation. Do not allow your current situation to make you feel like you're not worthy of what you may have already been doing before you got in that situation, or, you know, dictate what your destination is going to be. Because that just might be your test to see how bad you really want what you're going after, to see if you really going to go after it in this storm. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, if you working out and you know you got a gym membership, but you normally work out, or you know you go to the gym when it's not raining, you still get in the car and go to the gym, or you're just gonna sit at home. You see what I'm saying? Are you gonna let what's going on stop you? Now, you know what I'm saying? So stuff like that. Don't allow one thing to hinder the other, to just completely bring you to a halt. Because then time will go just pass you by. Before you know it, you're angry all over again. Your mental illness is just
flaring up. Take self-care. What she is saying, that self-care. Take care of yourself first, man, because if you do not, you ain't gonna be good for nobody.
If you don't, life will take care of you.
Right. Is anything last remarks you have?
Oh man, guys, you know, just pay attention, like you said, self-care. Pay attention to your body. Pay attention to your mind. You know, it's okay to be an open book. It's okay to be vulnerable.
Right.
You don't know who you could be touching. Yes. Or be a testimony to. You know, I know you want to be macho and stand on business, and a part of that is, you know, just being truthful to yourself and with other people. We need help as a society, as a people. And a lot of times as black men, we just don't know how to communicate properly.
Y'all, this is coming from a black man.
Be a pillar. So, hey man, if I could send out a message, it just to be that. You know what I mean? Y'all take care.
We greatly appreciate that. Y'all, it has been a blast. I have enjoyed myself. This topic was just, everything, and the right people was here for it.
Yeah.
And I guess that is going to end this. We will be back next week with episode 6. Like I always say, don't meet me there, beat me there. All right, y'all have a great evening. Bye.